Hello everyone and welcome to our Starcraft 2 live cast. This one's going to take place on Daybreak. Sorry, it's not a live cast, it's actually a replay cast. But I'm not going to restart this video. So, it's taking place on Daybreak. I'm the red Terran Ketroc spawning in the bottom left, and in the top right is the blue Terran. I'm a woman. So, figured I'd do this one by replay just because I want to talk a little bit more in depth about this Terran opener I'm doing. It's probably the only thing like brand spanking new I'm doing in Heart of the Swarm that's like different than what everyone else is doing that I think actually is somewhat viable. So I decided to send out an early SCV scout. Not a big deal, but I find a lot of Terrans doing the quick wall off like I do, like here, so I want to make sure I arrive in time, although I still wouldn't have arrived in time. Oh well. Anyways, let's not watch this. This has happened to me once before and I thought I could make it. This time I just completely wasn't paying attention and boom, 100 minerals down the drain. So in terms of build orders, this is already a screwed up video because I'm down $100. Anyways, the idea here is I'm going to defend with planetary fortresses and ravens, and I want to get one base ahead. So hiding my SCV here, I did see you went barracks gas. I expect like one marine, then one reaper. And then we'll pop back in here later, hopefully to find out if he's taking a natural. So I'm taking now his SCV. My command center has not started yet because I, didn't finish that depot, but it'll be starting in a second. There we go, finally. And still not going to be taking gas, not until I find out if he's expanded. I find the best way to do this, I didn't actually do it here though, is to keep one marine right up against the edge, like maybe patrolling from here to here, and keep all the rest of your marines on the other side, where the banshees could come in, or where the reapers could come in. The one that's right up against the edge should deter him from jumping up, and then all the rest of them you keep them away from the edge because you actually do want to jump up on that side. Pretty slow to react here, so he's going to get a free marine kill, but not much of a scout. I don't even think he saw whether I took that gas or not. It's tough to say because the SCV has already been here, but... anyways, I did actually take out his SCV during that time, building the command center, so I know he's taken another base, which means I'm going to be putting up my next command center. So like I said, I want to get a base ahead. I'll immediately buy double gas, because we will need the gas quickly, and probably you want to take these two gas as soon as possible as well. If you're feeling safe, you can actually build them now. So when this command center comes down here, you can immediately start mining. I don't really feel that safe though, because I know there's possibly reapers hanging out there somewhere. I know there's no major push, but there could be reapers. The early gas could also mean, the Hellions could be on the way too. Little things like that can really disturb this low ground. A little reaper defense there. I really took a bad angle. I should have headed out here to make sure he couldn't retreat. So lots of things you want to spend this initial gas on. If you're afraid of drops, you want to get the turret range as soon as possible. And since we're getting ravens, that'll come in handy anyways, and PFs. You want the turret ring, but in terms of gas, you also want the factories. You want to start teching towards the planetary fortress, or towards the ravens. And at the same time, you need 150 gas for each fortress. So definitely want to take these double gas as soon as you throw down that second command center. And getting out to more gas now. So had I not scouted this base, I would have been doing the exact same thing minus this command center. So I've already started my factories, would have had these double gas down a lot sooner. Once you feel you don't really need the marine production anymore, move this barracks off the wall, make space for a bunker for later. And build a tech lab because you want to use this tech lab for your starport. Bit of a drop getting in here, unfortunately. Found a bit of a hole in my defense there. What do you want to take down the medevac? Oh, that actually worked out really well. He picked up some units. I didn't notice that. So yeah, actually that could have turned out a lot differently. If he flew directly between these two missile turrets, he would have died. So you got a little bit lucky coming in. I got a little bit lucky that was able to take that all down. Factory is going to make his own tech lab because Factory, I want a single tank to help defend. Now that siege mode's free, things like building one tank isn't actually that big of a deal because you don't have to waste money on an upgrade that you're only using on one tank. The upgrade is free and the tech lab you can use for another structure at another time. At this point, basically spending all my money is on SCV production. I should probably be getting a couple turrets too, maybe one here to prevent the Hellions getting back, and here. Obviously, if I'm defending with Ravens in this zone, I need somewhere to fall back to that's safe from Vikings, so that's why we want these turrets. You don't want the turrets out front though, because then they'll take the focus fire. You want this fortress taking all the focus fire, and then the turrets like kind of just slightly behind it. So my starport's done. Gonna get the research this. You can start a Raven right away, or you can wait until this is about 50 seconds complete and then start a Raven. That way that Raven will pop with the extra 25 energy. It works out about the same, so it's not like getting an early Raven is bad for you. But in this case I was spending my extra gas on just getting, or extra minerals on getting a couple more starports. So siege tank placement is very dependent on the map. I think it's best to keep it somewhere safe though. Maybe like here would have been a touch better. That would have extended my range out to like this zone. But the two things to be nice to defend against is one, if he kind of, you know, if you have, I actually forgot this turret, but if he kills that turret here, this becomes like a dropping area. So if he can defend, have the siege tank in range of where he could drop. And then as much forward as possible to like just zone some of this area without actually being out front and being snipeable, because you know he's going to have a lot more units than you, so you don't want the siege tank somewhere where it could die, because it will have very little defense. So he clears the tower, leaves a marine there, and heads around to attack my third. But my Raven count is finally starting. I think. Yep, I got one Raven. But I do have the range upgrade, or the energy upgrade, so each Raven is going to be popping with 75 energy, which means every new Raven can fire off one Seeker Missile. So he is sieging my base. You probably want, like, 2 SCVs preparing for every siege tank he has blasting, something along those lines. Just kind of keep an eye on it. If this is always refilling to full instantly, you can probably put a couple guys back to mining. If it's starting to drop, take some guys off mining and make them repair. Up to 3 Ravens now. That's enough to kill 1 siege tank, or 2 siege tanks if they're right up against each other. Which I believe is what's going to happen here. And that's what you want to be using the Seeker Missiles exclusively for tanks, and tanks that are sieged up so they can't actually run away. Even sound like I killed a marine there, although it didn't look like I did. I heard the noise. Drop coming in at the same time. And that's kind of like the drop zone I was talking about, how you kind of want to defend that. Now, as it turns out this game, my idea of getting a base ahead never actually worked. We've been pretty even in harvester count the entire game, and we took our third bases around the same time too. But typically I think this build gives you a bit of an edge, at least in your, you know, gas income. Maybe not in mineral income, just because even though you have a few more SCVs and take your bases quicker, you'll have more mules typically. I have 1 orbital and he has 3. Also, since you're building Ravens, you free up a lot of money to build more command centers. Also, once you kind of hold off the initial defense, you probably want to start slowly transitioning into battle cruisers. You can get one armory right away because, you know, obviously the ship plating is what's best for battlecruisers, and then it'll also help your Ravens early. But eventually you want to add in the second armory and get the fusion core and start those upgrades. What I like to do is add to my hotkey for my upgrade structures to the same hotkey I have my command centers on, because they don't actually interfere with building SCVs. It's not like you have to tab past the armories to make it work. That way, whenever you tap 4 to, or whatever your hotkey is for your command centers, you can actually see when these upgrades are idle, like they are right now. So I'm establishing my 4th, which I believe he has no idea about. Yeah, that's true. He's going to try to run right in and snipe the command center. He does +1 upgrades on the Marines. I do have the armor upgrade though, which I find is very important against this sort of stim Marine push in. I always want to throw down a PDD and then run over Marines, but of course the PDD doesn't deflect their shots at all. So I got maybe a little bit lucky there. They didn't switch his focus fire to my Ravens over the PF. Of course, if he did that, then kind of defeats the whole purpose of charging into the PF. So the idea was to get that kill, which he never actually got. I find these places are very important to put down turrets for when you've actually taken this base. Kind of keeps him from getting behind you with those Vikings. So he's going to push right in. BCs are going down. I put a lot of Seekers on the medevacs for some reason. I guess that's kind of good. Medevacs are gone, mostly. So that's cool. But if that battle were a lot closer, putting the attacks on the Marines would have made a whole lot more sense. Just because, you know, if you Seeker the Marines and Marines die, it doesn't really matter that he has medevacs left over. At least not for that battle at that exact moment. It looks like that tank came in handy though. It's probably putting in some good blasts there. He tried to charge up the ramp a little bit, but with the wall in the bunker, it'll take him a while to bust through there, and he never actually did. I felt like after taking out that huge army, I could immediately just go for my 4th, but that did not work out yet. A lot of reinforcements here. Appears like I might actually go for it anyways. This is mistakes I often make. Oh, this one's gonna blow up on myself. Yeah, nice. You know, when I have the ability to expand, or when I have the command centers ready to go, I always want to expand, even if I might not be able to win the battle. And like, if I lose this, I probably lose the game because he can remax a lot quicker than I can, as he has like the cheap bio units, and I have those super expensive and slow to build, you know, battle cruisers and Ravens. Auto turrets probably would have made a whole lot more sense a lot sooner. I should have done that. PDDs don't really stand to use, so once they're out of good good secret targets, throwing wasting all my energy on auto turrets would have been nice. And they kind of help defend the space for a while, at least until the PFs are up. So we're kind of trading here evenly, which is, you know, normally you trade a lot better than evenly when you're going Sky Terran, but you know, even trade isn't bad either. And I did get this PF up, so it should be okay, hopefully. Still got 6 Ravens left over. Maybe moving my tank just to the high ground here would have made sense. It would only give me range out to, like, say here or something like that, but that can still get some shots in for like stuff that comes forward. I tried to kill this Thor, but I got mixed up where the Thors went and ended up shooting my Seeker missile at the Thor that had full hit points, not the one that had 30. So that was a big waste of a Seeker missile. It's kind of scared running in there though. Thors, especially when they're in their original, not this mode, but their explosive payload mode. They do a lot of damage to light units, and Ravens are light. So you take a flurry from a Thor, and then a couple Vikings fire, and all of a sudden you lost that Raven that you poked in with. That was not on purpose. Gotta be careful of that. Whenever you got stuff hanging out near the PF, as soon as the PF gets shot, that stuff wants to go in and fight. So use the whole position or stay back a little bit further. So lost a BC there. But I took down 2 of his tanks and even caught a couple of Vikings there, maybe. At least 1 Viking. It is actually 5 base on 4 right now. He hasn't used these command centers built a long time ago for anything. Typically this is his base. You know, he usually takes like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's kind of the way that things work for ground units. I think that's a natural way to expand. But since I have an air unit in this like huge chasm that extends all the way up here, it doesn't really bother me that much. I find this base makes a lot more sense for me. And it often goes unscouted too. Floating a couple command centers to clear out this base, sending up some Marines. If you guys want to see what 4 Marines look like with no upgrades versus 3 heavily upgraded Marines. Armor and attack upgrades are so important for stuff that has no armor and very low attack. Yeah, so those 4 Marines did not kill a single Marine of his, and he never even stimmed. If you send BCs up here, or even 1 BC just to clean up, it could get sniped by his Vikings. So I find Ravens make a lot more sense for things like this, because you can kind of just go there and leave immediately. The auto turrets are the only things that have to stay. And then auto turrets are a little bit better versus Vikings too, because Vikings can't fight back versus them. Yamato Cannon's only 100 energy now, so you can get it a lot quicker on new BCs, and then obviously you can actually store up 2 Yamato Cannons. So if you use up all your Yamato Cannons, you might be able to fire another one as soon as you launch all the ones you have, because 200 energy BCs will be able to fire again afterwards. So I sniped, I think, what, a couple Thors there, and maybe some Vikings, or maybe 1 Thor and a bunch of Vikings. He's coming around behind. This is where I kind of wish I had that missile turret here. Actually runs to my reinforcement line, which isn't great. I do, however, get a bunch of Yamatos off, so yeah, that count is down to 2. And I feel like with that, his anti-air presence is not great, so I'm just going to A-move all my SCVs. Yamato the tanks, because if you don't, all your SCVs will die. And the SCVs are what's going to keep all this stuff alive. SCVs are actually really good in this case. You got SCVs repairing a 6 armored unit. That unit doesn't die easily. And there you have it. That is kind of the build. So I guess the key parts of this build are kind of like back here. 1 Rax command center, or 1 Rax with the wall off into a command center, and then you want to find out if he is expanding. And if you don't think he is expanding, quickly throw down your 2 gas now. Get your engineering bay immediately as well. Actually, double gas an Eng bay right now if you think he's 1 basing, because you want that range upgrade on the Eng bay done by the time any sort of drop stuff gets here. So 35 seconds to build the Eng bay takes you to 450. Another minute to build the turret range brings you to 550. So that doesn't leave a giant window there of opportunity. You gotta do it quick. And then it'll be just like this game. Defend with the PF here, get Ravens, and be a base ahead, at least for a little while. But if you scout an expansion here, or just get the feel that he's going for an expansion, like maybe your initial scout came here and saw no gas, that probably means he's going to be expanding unless he's doing some weird proxy barracks all in or something. You want to get the third command center as well. I'm kind of late on it though. Which is bad. I should be building this third command center, and I should have these double gas down right immediately as well. And then I guess at this point, the real decision's on where to spend your gas, because you don't have enough gas, which is unfortunate. We're going to build an engineering bay, which I haven't yet for this command center, because this one's got to turn into a PF. And then this is kind of the gas decision. Like I'm up to 92, so I can. This engineering bay is going to finish. If I think drops could be coming, like obviously the minerals aren't a problem, I can get the turret ring. But if I think drops are coming to kind of combat the speed boost of the medevacs, I'd really suggest getting this high sec auto tracking quickly. If you think something more frontal could come in, you probably want to get this PF. Especially since we're starting to get fully saturated in the main, you want to be able to transfer SCVs down here, and you really can't do this until this is a PF, otherwise Reapers or Hellions could come in and just create havoc. Also, this will defend you, give you the ability to start mining for your third and fourth gas, which you want. And then you really want to start your factory as well. So you can see right now I have 124 gas, and there's 100, 250, 350 gas I want to spend right now. Factory, missile turret range, and PF. So he's kind of got to decide what's most important. If he's playing really passive, you probably want to get the factory first. Just get this PF later. If you think the aggression could be coming in terms of front of assault, PF. In terms of a drop, turret range. And then obviously this PF has to turn into a fortress as well, so there's 950 gas. After the factory, you need to make a starport and a tech lab, and then you want to make a siege tank, and then you want to get your Corvid reactor and a Raven. So there's going to be gas intake issues pretty much for the first portion here, but once you get to 6 gas, that won't be too much of an issue. See, a little lucky there. He did come in with his first medevac full, and this turret ring did not work out well for me. I think especially if he scans your base. This bunker should be up now too, but I think just keep one marine in that bunker, because if he attacks your front and your marines are way out positioned, say down here, it's okay. You can get them to this bunker in time before like he can break into your wall. The reverse isn't true. If your marines are in this bunker here, you can't pull back here to kill a medevac in time. The medevac's going to get in, so it's good to keep your marines back in this area. So I got a little bit lucky there. You know, if that were might go differently, I might have just lost the game outright right there, or just lost a ton of SCVs anyways. Single siege tank helps a lot against, you know, just him just hanging out here with siege tanks before you get your Raven, and it can also help against this like vulnerable drop area. And now just wanting to get your SCV count up, get a couple turrets at each front line, somewhere for your Ravens to hide behind. And yeah, start pumping those Ravens. Maybe a single armor, yeah, to start your +1 ship plating. And then just spending all this gas and Ravens, you're going to start floating money where you can build command centers. And command centers and Ravens is where it's at for now. Probably want to establish a 4th, or get command centers ready for a 4th as you're defending this. Make your BC transition. And then hopefully he doesn't get a really good contain on you. Like some things I've actually run into, which have kind of been a problem for me, is, you know, they'll leave a marine hanging out at different bases. Just say I get this 4th one. They can leave a marine here and here, and then they start all of a sudden like throwing out a whole ton of missile turrets in like in this zone and this zone. and then they try to contain me and keep me from breaking out to take my new bases. And that can be tough to actually break that defense. Like, really tough. Sometimes you actually have to max out before you do it, or do what I do and just try to futilely do it earlier and lose the game. But if you max out before you go out there, you could end up taking your 5th like long after he's already been on like 7 bases worth of gas. So he could actually transition into Sky Terran and make a stronger Sky Terran army than you, even though that was like your initial attack. You attack straight to it and he still gets to transition to it and get a better army, which would suck. But anytime you can like ninja a base without even realizing it, it's awesome. Which happens a lot, and I probably have to rely on it too much. But it's not too bad pushing it. I mean, you got this initial wave of you know, like 8 Ravens, and then you got those 8 Ravens following 6 battle cruisers, pull a bunch of SCVs and auto repair, and you can usually actually attack straight into his army and blow him away. It's only if he sets up a bunch of missile turrets out here that could be a problem. And SCVs, man, they're really powerful for these attacks. You can see I kind of overdo it on SCVs counts. I think I actually got up to like 112 this game. I've probably hit 130 before, which is definitely too much. But I also don't like stopping at like 72, which is like the magic number everyone always talks about. Like everyone stops at 72, and then by mid-game they're already throwing away SCVs as soon as they start the orbital farm. I think it's much better for this strategy to go up to a lot. Because you'll have like 7 bases you can mine from, or whatever it is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bases, and you'll probably have only like mined out 1 or 2, so you probably have 5 active bases. It's you can easily keep like 200 SCVs like efficient, so 120, 110, or 100, we'll say. 100 is probably a good number. You can keep efficient too, and that allows you to have like a large mineral income, as well as how all the gas geysers. So with a large mineral income, you can get down all the production you want, get up to your 12 star ports, and then throw down 12 or 15 orbitals to farm with. And then from there, you can decide what you want to do. Since you can get to orbital farm faster, then you can throw away all your SCVs and just mine your side of the map and build a gigantic army with that extra supply. Or what I like to do is just kind of use kind of a more defensive posture. Use the SCVs to mine out the map faster. I can even long distance mine his side of the map later with mules and stuff. So I'll end up winning the starvation war. And then, if you ever want to make an attack, it's not a big deal to grab 25 SCVs and send them out on auto repair with your battle cruisers, and they're actually really efficient. Funny thing is, when I am moving out here though, like I see a ton of Vikings, Thors with their high impact payload, but the actual target I want to hit are the siege tanks. Is the attack? No, it's not. It's the last one. Loses a bunch of his Vikings, and then I decided to make the push. And the reason I'm attacking the siege tanks is because I think SCVs are really important for this attack. If I just let my BCs attack whatever, they're going to attack the stuff that's shooting back at them, so like Marines and Thors, and these siege tanks are going to completely waste all these SCVs. But by Yamatoing the siege tanks, see the siege tanks are down, then this Marauder is probably the only thing that's actually going to be shooting at SCVs. And you can see what the SCV is repairing here. It's just... this front BC is probably going to die too quickly. See this BC here? It's got 5 armor, right? So like every shot is getting reduced by 5, and then you got this many SCVs repairing it. It just doesn't fall down. A whole bunch of Stim Marines and Vikings, and nothing can come close to falling down. Anyways, still playing with this, getting a little more comfortable. If you watched my stream before, getting this early siege tank I think is a nice little addition. And definitely worth it. Even in games like where I still stomp it just as well, if the siege tanks arrive early enough, yeah, they'll be like plunking at my planetary fortress. They'll never actually get in, and once I get the ravens out, I'll clean up all the siege tanks. But those siege tanks are still sitting here shooting like, when you get like 6 of them shooting at your fortress, you're spending a lot of money repairing it. People think repair is free, but it's not, and it adds up when you got like that much siege attack going. Like that much siege attack can easily do like say $6,000 damage, and $6,000 damage is like $800 worth of resources. Plus you probably need like 9 or 10 SCVs off the line, so it reduces your income by a couple $100 a minute. It can be an issue. So one tank positioned well, like not somewhere out front and vulnerable. You don't want the tank like here or even here or over here. I mean, those are really easy to snipe places because he's going to have an army and you don't, so obviously you can't really protect the siege tank. But just somewhere back a bit. Somewhere to cover the best kind of drop area. This is a little neat thing I did here too. If this is the drop spot, make sure you can't just run down the side. He has to come out here. You could even extend that further, make this wall out to like make it like this, so he has to run all the way up to your bunker. So somewhere to kind of cover that drop zone, and then somewhere to kind of help against like siege tanks coming in. So now like this has to be a siege tank zone here. If he tries to do anything like here, he might get sniped. Also, it's harder for him to snipe this bunker and supply depot. You'd have to get like really good positioning. And if you can keep this bunker alive, well, there was a bunker there at one time anyways. If you can keep this bunker alive, it's a lot harder for him to like bust your main base. Anyways, I can't really think of anything else to talk about. This is the build I've been using in TvT. I like it a lot. I'm having a lot more success in TvT than I did in Wings of Liberty. If you want to use my Wings build where you just go straight to BCs, that will actually be an improvement too, because BCs are... I don't believe... People always talk about the new BCs being better on like State of the Game and stuff, but that's because none of them are Terran players. I don't think anything about the BC itself is better. Maybe its ground attack was improved? I can't remember. Maybe. I know this ground attack was improved at some point in the beta. They might have gotten rid of that though. But the one thing that's definitely been improved is Yamato is only 100 energy. So when you're using Yamatos to snipe the siege tanks to stay alive, obviously that can work a lot better when it's have to wait that extra 25 energy. So with that, we'll call it the end of this video. Thank you guys for tuning in, and check the description for a thumbs up link. And